coming to Facebook and the arrest of two girls earlier this week. Now, one was on charges of fanning or allegedly fanning religious sentiments. What do you think of this? Simply because freedom of speech and India being the world's largest democracy, we wear that on our sleeve literally. And where freedom of speech is concerned, suddenly you have something like this where two girls are arrested.
But this is characteristic behavior. This is what the Indian state always does. If there are 40 people who get together and raise noise about something, burn something, threaten to break down something, the Indian state gives in. This is what we've repeatedly seen. We've not just seen it with organizations like the Shiv Sena, which have successfully used this model repeatedly, but we've also seen this with other fringe groups. Right? India was the first country in the world to ban satanic verses.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a country which has traditionally stood up to these fringe elements. So it's very, very characteristic behavior. What happened in Maharashtra was completely deplorable. You shouldn't be doing this. It's a Facebook comment. It was an entirely fair comment. The girl who posted the comment is completely justified in asking, why should Mumbai come to a halt? And sure enough, it didn't happen voluntarily. We all know that while he may have been a mass leader, and obviously it's not possible to orchestrate the presence of as many people who were there. How many were there? 2.5 million at his funeral. So obviously the group of people who loved him, a lot of people also downed shutters of their shops and professional and other establishments out of fear. So I think it was fair comment. It was made on Facebook. The people who really need to be taken to task were the people who arrested these two girls, and also the people who vandalized the clinic of
her uncle.
the uncle of the girl who posted the original comment. Those are the people who should really be taken to task, not these two girls. And I think you've terrorized them so much that they actually issued an apology. To my mind, they did nothing wrong.
Last question, and this is about the execution of Ajmal Kasab. On one hand, India is trying to build, manage its relations with Pakistan, bring it back on an even keel. On the other hand, you have, India executing Kasab, and there is a, apprehension being expressed that this could possibly derail whatever, overtures India has made so far. What is your take on this, especially against the backdrop of, FDI from Pakistan coming in, possibility of that?
I don't think we should look at FDI from Pakistan. I have a slightly different point of view on this. One is my own point of view, and the other one is from the perspective of the government. Now let's first look at it from the perspective of the government. You look at what the government has been doing for the past several months. The government has obviously been trying to build bridges with Pakistan. Now you want to do that, and you know this because you cover foreign policy. Your foreign policy needs to be consistent. You can't blow hot, blow cold. So clearly from that perspective, I don't think this is such a great move. That's the government's perspective. From my own perspective, my question is, why are we even trying to build bridges with Pakistan? You want to resolve this issue, right? And there are certain things that you should not stand for as a country. Acts of terror on domestic soil perpetrated by, whether these are state agencies or non-state agencies is debatable, by agencies sheltered or located in a country in one of the neighboring countries, are just not on. And you saw what the United States did after 2001. And I think India should have done something similar. Right? Now, you cannot wish that away. It's something that happened. It was an act of terror. It was a heinous act of terror. Happened on Indian soil. And I think we've taken the soft option. And why are we even talking to Pakistan? Why do you need a most favored nation status with them? Why do you need to play cricket with them? My personal belief is there are certain things you can stand for, there are certain things you cannot stand for. And one of the things you cannot stand for is exactly the kind of thing that happened in November 2008. You cannot stand for that. And you just have to be very, very clear, and there is a line. And You have to draw the line, and you have to stick to it.
So you advocate basically that India should not be worried about the consequences of the execution of
Yeah,
Kasab.
you want to act tough? Great. This is exactly what you should have done on day one. This is exactly what you should have done all along, and stick to it. But be consistent. To go back to what I said about looking at it from the government's perspective, you can't blow hot 1 minute and blow cold the next minute. You have to be consistent in your approach. So if your approach is conciliatory, because over the last 2 years, especially given this buzz about what's been happening in Siachen and this fear about what might happen in Siachen, the impression that a lot of us have got is that the government would like nothing more than an enduring peace with Pakistan. Some of us have even got this feeling, although it's not been articulated, that things are being done with the Nobel Peace Prize in mind, right? This is exactly what you want to do, end the conflict. So if you want to do that, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, because I personally believe it's a wrong thing to do. I think it's very, very unfair after what happened in 2008. But if that's what you want to do, you have to be consistent about it. Right? You have to stick to it.
So India-Pakistan relations as complex as ever. Thank you very much, Sukumar. That's all we have in EdSpace this week. Thanks very much for watching. Please stay tuned for more.